HB 235, and it's basically the yoga bill. And what this bill does is yoga is prohibited or banned in K through 12 public schools. So that's the only place that it's banned is in K through 12 public schools. And this bill would just allow the local school boards of education to basically allow. So this is not mandated, it's optional, you can opt out. It's very limited to stretching, breathing, meditation. And that's pretty much, the bill's a simple bill. I mean, since I introduced this bill last year, I have had about, 200 emails of people who have this yoga, some kind of yoga mindfulness in their class who can't do it anymore. I'm pretty sure you know, because they've been blowing you up as well. But I think it's needed, right? And so many people have reached out, so many supporters. I've been all over Alabama, and it's just something that I think that when we talk about physical health or mental health, it could really help the school system. And that's all I have. I'm not gonna be funny today. all the facts are here. I mean,
well, it's
I don't
the
want to
same
sell it too
group that
much.
was here last year as well. We may have questions, and I've agreed to let one person speak, but first, Representative Drummond.
Be funny, but I'll be funny for him. Because in a serious note, since this bill we passed it out of this committee last year, and I had not told Representative Gray this, but I have started yoga. And I prefer hot yoga. But I do think, and you know, if you're in this state house, mentally it really helps you. So I just want see, I told you it was gonna be funny. But I really want to thank you, because I supported the bill the last time when it was in committee, and I support it now.
Thank you. And we will have the yoga day, April 2nd. So if you want to come down and see what it's all about and test it out, you can come. It'll be in room 200.
Okay, before we have questions, I did ask, there was one group that had, well, actually 3 groups that had asked to speak, and I said no, the public hearing timeline line had already ended, but that I was able to let them speak one thing. So Dr. Guthrie, I think you wanted to say something, and he's also got a form on your desk that's entitled Southeast Law Institute.
Yes, I appreciate it, Madam Chairman. And something else that will help your mental abilities around here, we do have a weekly prayer breakfast across the street. The Al Cap prayer breakfast, we would love for you to come to that. And it would probably help more than the yoga would. But at any rate, of course, you get good food too, and I don't know that yoga provides you food. So, but what I've given you is a list of points that kind of give a background to what has happened in the past with the yoga bill and yoga issues in our state and why it was banned and so forth. There's an explanation in here. I did have an opportunity, someone shared with me a video that I watched recently. I'll have to be honest with you, I didn't know much about this issue, still don't know a lot about it. And my daughter was involved in yoga for exercises, and she laughed at me when I said, well, there are people that are concerned about this. But the more I've researched this, the more I've realized that you can't separate the exercises from the religious meditation aspect of it. This is Hinduism, straight up. And therefore, what you're doing is you are blatantly teaching a religious exercise that would violate the Establishment Clause. The first two, the front page and back page of the first sheet, give those points and explain that. The last 2 sheets that you have are Eric Johnston, our legal advisor that researched this, Googled yoga, which is what young people will do. They will look it up. And every one of the first several things that come up when you Google yoga explain it as being a religious practice. And so I want to encourage you to read this material. Would encourage you to oppose this legislation on the grounds that I've shared.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Rich.
You promised me last year that if I started doing yoga, you'd get me down to a 4-4-40.
You never started.
But then later he informed me that he meant 4 hours and 40 minutes.
Are there questions? Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Representative Gray, for bringing the bill. You've worked really, really hard, I think, to bring a bill that I think is something that's acceptable. You've taken out, removed a lot of the things that I think would concern people. I've asked a lot of people in churches all in my community. I just can't see the problem with what you're proposing to do in your bill. And I would just say there are a lot of other things we do, Christmas trees, Easter bunnies, a lot of things like that I see that I think we're able to separate that. So I just honestly respect Mr. Gottfried and his points. I don't know that I agree with the establishment clause. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that other states do this, so I haven't heard it.
Every state.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it's specifically banned here, so I don't know if that's valid or not, but I just want to say to people who might, the people that I know who are usually concerned about things like that, and I share a lot of those concerns, I just don't see it in this bill, so that's why we'll make that comment.
Thank you. Representative Dismukes.
Representative Gray, I appreciate you bringing the bill forth. Since last year, it sort of bothered me with some of the people that came out against your bill. And, I started really thinking about it a lot over the last several months. And, if you really look at Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Labor Day, all those at one point were some type of pagan holiday that we adopted to make our own. So if all of a sudden we want to start tracing back to some worship of some other God other than what we believe is the one true God or something like that, I think that, we might as well just stop living, and, because it's all really come together. And, I know churches that do yoga and have classes, and, I think it is what you make of it. We talk about prayer and meditation a lot. And so I think that you can pray to God and do yoga, or you can think about whatever you want to. So I appreciate you bringing the bill, and got my full support.
Representative Fincher.
Just a quick question, Representative Gray. The instructors for these classes, where I live, I don't see this being probably an option for many people in rural areas. But what are the requirements for the instructors of yoga classes, and are they required to have some kind of educational training or whatever?
So usually, like 4-H, they have a program where they get teacher certification. Our university does it. So you have a lot of universities that provide free certification for yoga. And when you think about it, it's not like you doing yoga for like an athlete. It's not like the whole exercise, right? It's just concepts that allow you to, on a mental level, on a physical level, to choose logic over emotion. So in a classroom setting, you wouldn't be doing a lot of physical exercise. What you would be doing is, if you would, to start off, you would do a 5-minute reflection, right? So you would breathe, and you would pretty much think about, what can I do positive today? Those are the things. It's just the word really doesn't allow people to do it, right? So you can call it mindfulness movement, whatever you want to call it, but as long as yoga is banned, you can't use it in any kind of form.
So at the elementary level, you look at this as a 5 or so minute exercise in the morning.
So,
Is it also a physical education?
It can be as well. So in Richland Elementary School, the assistant principal, her name is Kate. She has a curriculum, right? So in the yoga poses, they're animals, right? So she teaches them basically the concept of learning your animals, as well as those stretches, and how those stretches or those breathing methods help you with anxiety, stress. So she has this compacted in a curriculum. This is an assistant principal, right? So she's liable for all the children, and she just expressed to me how much it helped kids that couldn't stay still or focus or just had trouble, or just helped kids in general.
Okay.
So, but just the thing what you don't understand is, even if you don't pass the bill, they're still doing it. They're still doing it in their classroom, because it's their class, right? And so it's happening everywhere, right? From 3rd grade to 5th grade to 12th grade. And so why not make something that someone's doing anyway legal?
Thank you, sir.
Representative Daniels. We have a motion to give the bill a favorable report by Representative Daniels and a second by Representative Drummond. Are there any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The bill's given a favorable report.
Thank you.
Last on our agenda, we have, Leader Ledbetter. He is